World Encephalitis Day recently took place on the 22nd of February, with the aim to spread more awareness about the condition. But what is encephalitis?
Well, encephalitis simply means inflammation of the brain, and it's caused in one of two ways, either by a person's own immune system going wrong and attacking the brain in error, or by infections, ordinary everyday infections that people will be very familiar with, such as the measles, flu, the herpes simplex virus, which is the cold sore virus. And sometimes those infections breach the blood-brain barrier, which is the thing that we have to keep bugs out of our brain. Sometimes it breaches that barrier and mounts a direct infectious attack on the brain itself. In the UK, 6,000 people a year are affected by encephalitis, and we think that's an underestimate. But globally, around 500,000 people a year are affected by the condition, and that's one person every minute.
One of those people was Andy Hanselman, who is based in Sheffield. He suffered from encephalitis in 2008, but has since made a full recovery. We spoke to him about his experience with the condition.
It was 11 years ago. I speak for a living, I speak at businesses, and I was actually running an away day for some clients up in the northeast. Had a headache the day before, not like me to get headaches, but I just thought moved on, and then woke up in the morning still with the headache, stood up to speak in front of them and actually collapsed in front of them. The bizarre thing was that emergency services came within 6 minutes, which was amazing. We were in the middle of nowhere in Northumbria, and I was rushed to Newcastle Hospital with sort of blood coming from various parts of my head. And to be honest, for the first days I was in comas, I didn't know anything about it. But I was in there, I was in sort of wonderful care, and it was actually spotted by the experts when we were there. I was actually going through a brain scan, and they spotted it, and at first they didn't know what it was, but then they actually discovered that I got it. Once they discovered it, they could actually start doing something about it. Somebody described it to me as sort of meningitis of the brain, and I had bleeding coming from all over the place, and I was told by lots of people how serious it actually was. I didn't realise how serious it was, because I came away relatively fit from it, but it can be very damaging for people in terms of mental health issues, physical issues, changes in personality. So it can be very, very devastating for families and people who've actually sort of been hit by it.
And so if someone out there is just wondering, I've got a few symptoms, I might have this horrible disease, what would you say to them?
I think it is just get it checked out. I mean, it hit me without knowing, and as I say, it did appear as a headache. And I think, but certainly I was told that the emergency services that came quickly was one of the parts of the recovery that I was actually looked after very, very early on, and it got dealt with quite early on. But I think the other thing was just the amazing care that I actually got from up in Newcastle and down in Sheffield. The ongoing support I got from people and from the Encephalitis Society is something I think is really valuable for people to help them make it work for them.